Alrighty, so this new Demon King mode is pretty crazy, especially on Hell difficulty. It can be very RNG based, and of course, one of the big problems that a lot of people may be having is that you do kind of need Albedo to do it easily. Albedo is just pretty much just insane for most of the PvE content in this game because counters go through damage caps and stuff like that, and she's just really good. But Marilli has actually showcased this team right here with this as the Team B as a way to sort of get around using Albedo. So the good thing about this is you don't need Albedo, you don't need Cocytus, you don't need, any of the crazy unknown characters or anything. You don't need Shuna, who is also a collab character that you might not have. So it's not going to be nearly as easy, of course. Albedo does make things a lot smoother. I mean, it's still going to be a little bit RNG heavy. I mean, when I did my initial run through, it took me, I think, 3 losses before I was able to get a win with Albedo, which, it was my first time messing around with the mode, kind of getting used to it and everything as well, which I'm still not, I wouldn't consider myself to be good at this yet, but, it's brand new. So, we're going to be messing around with this a little bit. I'm probably just going to do a couple of runs with it and maybe voice over the rest of it. But this is basically the initial setup that you have here. Here is the gear if you need it. I think in Marilli's video, he was using HP defense on basically everyone except for his new God melee on the other team. And he was actually just using HP defense on his Matrona, but in the video he did say that if you're having trouble with her tanking and everything, which I assume, if you're if you don't have like a pretty well built account, you're probably gonna have some issues with her taking a lot of damage and everything, considering she's kind of your tank. I did go ahead and throw some crit defense pieces on because the single target card that Demon King does hits really hard. So sub slot and everything, everybody's on HP defense. I think I'm just on CC right now with this. I maybe should just go for something else, maybe like HP or something. I don't know. With the other team, though, you're basically just using this as like a backup team. If you get into a position where you've maybe, not got the right cards in hand or whatever the case may be, you can maybe swap over to this team. This is the only team with an actual stance skill. Matrona's is a buff skill, so you might have to swap over to this one if you have to use Chandler for the stance card in Phase 1, but for the most part, I think everything is pretty standard. I have, links and everything right there. I think this is also on, maybe it was combat class. I'm going to put this one on HP as well. But either way, we're gonna try this out. I think he was using lifesteal food, so I think we're going to use that as well. This will probably be the last time that I run Hell this week because I really don't care that much about trying to True Awaken every single character right away. But yeah, let's hop into this thing. We'll see how it goes. I'll see how many attempts it actually takes me, and then I'll kind of put the good run up and sort of overlay my findings for you and how I was able to sort of pull this off maybe. Alrighty, so I actually kind of wish that I would have just did a normal sort of video for this because I was able to beat it in the first try. I don't know if I got super lucky or not, but yeah, the mechanics for this thing actually don't feel too bad. Obviously, there are a lot of different RNG elements to it with the whole, got to use specific cards. If you don't draw those cards, that's going to be a big pain. I guess the big caveat to that is you do have 2 different teams, and that did save me quite a bit in this run, I think, being able to swap over to my second team. But I really like this setup, surprisingly. I'm not a huge fan of maybe King, but overall, I mean, he's not a bad character to have. One of the big things here is that the Demon King actually does this AoE move where he drops this orb of energy into the ground on top of you, and if you get hit by that, it does a little bit of damage. It can deal a decent amount of damage, but one of the bigger parts to it is that it will delete 3 cards out of your hand. But, does he do it right here? He does it right here. Okay, so you can see he drops that, but because I have an attack-related stat buff on, for whatever reason, that is actually what triggers it to miss. So kind of like with the bird, if you have a taunt on in Floor 2, Phase 2, it'll just miss the attack if you have a taunt on. It's kind of the same concept here, where if you have an attack-related stat buff on one of your characters, at least, then it just misses your entire team, which is really helpful because you don't really want your cards getting deleted out of your hand or anything. So that's really nice. Obviously, playing into the rule is super important. If you can get all 3 of the rule parts in one go, you're not only going to stun him out of his turn, or actually, the stun is if you get all 3 of the cards correct, but he gets 10% all stats down, which is great. That's going to help over time. And it actually lasts for several turns in a row, so you can basically stack those if you really want to. The second one is a damage taken increase. It's actually a 100% damage taken increase, so you're going to be basically doubling the damage that you're dealing to him while you're, while he has that on. So make sure that you're not wasting too many of your like heavy hitting cards to fill the role of the rule. And then whenever you end up putting those debuffs on him, then you go in with your bigger moves like your ultimates and your like high level cards and stuff like that. So that can be, kind of how I was trying to play it here. Matrona actually did pretty well. I'm kind of surprised. I know that this Matrona is not like super accessible. She's relatively new. She came out like a couple of months ago. So she might not be a character that you necessarily have, but she is on this banner. So if you were lucky enough to get her there, I think she was on another banner before this one as well. Or if you maybe even summoned for her specifically. I want to say that she was a step-up banner, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, the value is showing itself a little bit. Obviously, I think you could run a different character if you really wanted to. You might even be able to sub out the Queen Diane if you have her, just because she's going to be gaining a decent amount of HP back. I don't know. I guess you can kind of just experiment around a little bit. But Lostvayne is, I think, a very pivotal part of this team. I think the real reason that you're using King is just because he has a heal card. But Lostvayne, if you don't know, when you get to Phase 2 of the Hell fight, you have to not worry about the cards that you're using specifically. Like, you don't have to worry about the level. You do have to worry about the level of the card, sorry. You're not worrying about the type of card. So you're not worrying if it's a buff or a debuff or whatever. You're worrying about if it's a level 1, 2, or 3 card, whereas Melee is really easy to sort of rank up cards. So that can be very helpful. Also, this part right here was kind of annoying. He starts to put on a ton of debuffs, and I'm not sure exactly why. If you know 100%, I tried to look through his like actual kit and everything a couple of times here, but I haven't necessarily like broken the rule enough to where I thought that it would be a huge issue. So having the King like cleanses here ended up being pretty important. You can see that I'm not going to end up doing a debuff card in the middle. This actually, I'm disabled, so that rank up doesn't even work. I was hoping I could get a little bit of a heal off with that, but I wasn't paying attention there. But we do 2 buff cards, so we're doing enough to lower his all stats, and we put the damage taken increase on. His ultimate can be incredibly hard to sort of deal with. Luckily in Phase 1, it's a single target, so it's not too bad, and our Matrona did survive it. But in Phase 2, you really want to make sure that you're ult controlling a little bit more. Unfortunately, with this fight, it doesn't necessarily show you which cards he's going to use, which is a little bit of an annoyance. Maybe you're not specifically going to know if he's going to single target you or debuff you or whatever. But if his ultimate move gauge is full, I definitely recommend using either Matrona, or I have Red Zeldris on the other team to ult control, because man, his ultimates can go kind of crazy. And on Phase 2, it's an AoE that does a ton of damage, so you definitely want to avoid that. But it's kind of nice because Melee can rank up his cards pretty easily as long as he's like AoEing and stuff, which is great. The God Meliodas that we have on the other team is going to rank up our cards and stuff like that, which is nice. Which also, another thing to note is that whenever you do, I don't know if it's necessarily like a 3-part wild combo. Like, I don't know if you need to get all 3 of the cards correct into like a full wild attack for it to rank your cards up, but Wild will rank up your cards from time to time, which is really nice. So that helps as well. You can see that we do have some decent cards in hand from Wild already ranking up a little bit here, which is good. This was kind of helpful. I don't really have... I think I actually had everything that I needed for this fight, if I'm not mistaken. So I kind of just left this second team alone for a while until it got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't have the cards that I need to use with the first team, which this team right here, the second team that I'm using with Chandler, is the only team that I have with a stance. So as soon as he was like, okay, you need to use a stance, that's basically your key indicator, I guess, to swap over to your second team. But because we did the full combo, we stun him here. I have the God Meliodas cards, which are able to do a lot of damage, and because I keep getting all these debuffs applied to myself on the first team, I'm getting kind of stuck to where I'm not really able to do the rules super efficiently, but I do have a level 3, so that's nice. I can use that to sort of like rush for my ultimate a little bit more. I think I'm still going to be one short, unfortunately, of grabbing my ultimate here, but hopefully with some card draw and stuff we can grab more. You can see Melly's doing some really, really nice damage. I do think that you're going to have the LR Melly, of course, because like he just gains so much extra stats, and he's just going to do way, way more damage if he's an LR. So I don't necessarily think that you're going to be able to pull this off with a regular Melly. Maybe, because I mean, he's not getting attacked too much, but you know, I guess with the right RNG, you could probably win it with anything, maybe. But either way, so we're still getting attack sealed, which is super annoying. I think I end up maybe swapping back here to the other team because like I can't use half of the cards that I need. So I think I actually don't remember if God Melly kills right here or not. I think he does. I think we single target into the kill. Or okay, I AoE'd into double debuff. I think the big thing is I'm always going for the rule basically no matter what. I think the rule is the most important part. Like even if I think I'm going to kill, I'm going to do the rule anyway, just because I don't want it to be one of those scenarios where he has some random passive that I'm not aware of, where if I don't do the rule, it's going to end up messing things up, which seems pretty fine, at least for Phase 1. It's not like overly difficult, I don't think. Whereas Phase 2, there's a couple of other mechanics that you kind of have to worry about. So he does hit God Melly here a little bit, but you have... Obviously, I only have red Tarmiel on my Matrona here, but there's a surprising amount of just overall regen that your characters sort of get during this fight. I'm not sure if it's just some hidden mechanic to it or what the deal is, but you know, I felt like I was healing a lot of HP back on some of the some of the attacks that he was kind of dealing on me. But we're gonna push Phase right here with King. Phase 2 surprisingly took less time than Phase 1, which I was not expecting. This is normally where I guess he would just use Albedo to throw up a big counter, do your worst, try to get him down as quickly as possible. The thing is, if you get him below 40% HP here, he's basically going to gain this HP related stat buff, and then once you get him below 10%, he loses the HP related stat buff, and you kind of just need to whittle him down, keep playing into the rule until he loses his immortality buff that he has on. You can see that he has that little circular one that looks kind of like a skull. That is the immortality buff. So you can't get him below 1 HP even when he has that on. So we're basically just going to be trying to play into the cards. The second team right here, I think, did very, very well. The second team was doing all of the things that I needed it to do. I basically had all of the level 2 and 3 cards that I needed for this. Chandler tanks pretty well here, so that's fantastic. I think the big thing is once it gets a little bit further into the fight, the single targets that he does are just absolutely ridiculous. Like, they will pretty much one-shot a character. So I do end up losing some characters a little bit further in, and you can see he had full ultimate move gauge there, but I made sure to remove that. We did play completely into the rule, so even if I didn't remove the ult there, it didn't matter because he was going to get stunned out of his turn. But I guess if I wanted to play that more efficiently, I could save the ult removal, just stun him out of that turn, and then in the next turn that I'm going to do, I could maybe remove the ultimate move gauge, which he's still down an ult gauge here, so I could, I guess, potentially just keep stunning him out every 2 turns, and I don't have to worry about the ult, but either way, we do rank up some cards with God Melly here, which is really helpful. Just him being able to rank up his own cards is great. With the Lost Vein, you do have to worry a little bit more about RNG if he's going to hit you with like an AoE card to actually rank Melly's cards up. Whereas with this one, you you can somewhat control what you're doing here. I think it's this Mark of Death that actually makes it so bad, because you can see he just absolutely destroys Melascula there, one-shots my Chandler as well. Luckily, the way that this fight actually works, though, You do not lose the amount of cards that you can use. You can always use 3 cards no matter how many characters are on the field, as far as I know. Maybe if you have like 1 character on one team and 1 character on the other team, it might lower your card usage, but so far I have not noticed that it has like really lowered the amount of cards I can use. So luckily I do still have level 3s, level 2s. I can play into the rule here. We're going to stun him out. I have some decent cards in hand here. We do get the full throttle. We're going to stun him out of the turn. He's going to gain those attack or damage dealt increases and everything. We have our ultimate, which is quite nice. Mine is only 1/6, so it's not like you have to have anything like super crazy here. I don't remember if I ended up using that or not. I guess I just swapped straight over to the other team. I think because I was missing characters, I was like, okay, well, let's maybe just hold on to that just in case, and we'll just play into the other team's strengths here. So at this point, I've done enough of the rule to where he does not have his immortality buff on. I do not kill this turn. He does 2 million damage on that ult, which is fantastic, but Matrona's not doing that much, and I think if I maybe would have attacked with melee there, I maybe could have killed, but now that we have him below 10%, or within 10%, I guess, he does not have the HP-related stats buff, which is nice. He is going to start melting my characters. Luckily, Gother does survive with just 1 HP there, so that because we have that Mark of Death on, I'm a little scared, but we have some really good cards in hand. I'm still going to play into the rule anyway, but the card that I use with melee here is enough to finish him off. So, like I said, not sure if it was just RNG or just good luck on my end, but it did work. Obviously, Albedo is going to be a much easier and simpler solution, but if you don't have her, you can't use her, so best of luck. Okay, so now that that's over with, that actually went surprisingly pretty smooth. I mean, I did lose a couple of characters, of course, which is, you know, pretty interesting. But I don't know if I just got really lucky with that or if RNG was just, you know, on my side or whatever. Obviously, that's luck. But, yeah, actually, surprisingly kind of smooth. I would say for the most part, it works out pretty well. There are some close calls and stuff like that here and there. I do think that the crit defense on Matrona did help out quite a bit, and I mean, it's going to be a little RNG on whether or not you're getting, you know, her taunts or not. I maybe relied on the second team a little more than Marilli did in his video, but I think it was actually okay just because it kept lining up with the fact that I was getting, you know, decent rank ups with my melee. I was able to sort of go into the second phase and use the right sort of level cards. Obviously, the big thing is making sure that you're doing the rule as much as possible. If you can either skip his turn by stunning him for 1 turn, or making sure that you use either Matrona or Zeldris' ult removal card so that way he doesn't ult you, because that thing is going to absolutely obliterate you. That is going to help out a ton as well. Using Gother's ultimate whenever you get the chance as well to reset like 5 or 3 ultimate move gauge, depending on your association, could help out quite a bit. I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised that went as smooth as it did. Obviously, results may vary. RNG is a cruel mistress, but either way, I guess that is pretty much it. Hopefully, the whole video sort of helped a little bit. I'll try to explain the mechanics as well as I can in the voiceover and stuff whenever I go through the actual the fight itself. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that actually went. Obviously, if you have Albedo, probably use her just because it's a little bit easier that way. But for newer players, obviously this is a brand new game mode. This thing is going to be really hard for new players to try to like hop into. You have to be in chapter 26, I think, to even be able to fight this thing. It's the newest game mode in the game. It's going to be pretty hard. They're probably going to end up releasing more characters sort of as time goes on that'll help with this game mode. So if you can't fight it right now, don't fret. Kind of work on your account a little bit, build up those characters, sort of just keep prepping. Maybe as new characters come out that make it easier drop, you can sort of grab those and, fight this thing a little bit easier, but don't stress out. I mean, 1000 CC, and you do get a little bit of damage reduction, of course, which is like damage resistance, which is the new stat. That might sound like a crazy big deal, but from my understanding, all of the people who've played on JP so far have said that it's not that big a deal. I'm gonna take their word for it because I'm not gonna infinitely farm this thing for True Awakening. I don't care enough. I've got more other box stuff to work on at the moment anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. If you have any other interesting teams or you see any other teams, feel free to let me know. I will definitely be trying them out and stuff, so that way I can kind of relay that information to you guys. Of course, thank you to Marilli for coming up with the team. Shout out to him. Go check him out, of course, if you haven't already. He does a lot of cool, random PvP teams and stuff like that, or he'll use really interesting PvE stuff for, different game modes, whether it be Nidhogg or like Demonic Beasts, or even this new, Demon King fight. Who knows? So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you guys tomorrow.